All right, so we are back in the saddle. I am going to do a quick review of my Paladin life. This was my first Dragonborn life. I decided that I would just go with sort of the classic vanilla use for a Dragonborn, which is all strength and all charisma. So yeah, totally lost my train of thought there. Amazing. But basically what we're going to do is just going to do a quick breakdown. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. This is a straightforward Knight of the Chalice, two-handed fighting Paladin build. Nothing anybody hasn't seen before. But what was fun, I haven't run a melee in a very long time. And it turned out that this was exceptionally strong. If Paladin isn't like a top tier melee, I don't know what is. Like it was fantastically good. It was easy the whole time. The times I died, I think I died a grand total of twice this entire 1 to 32 life. And those had like nothing to do with me, like trapped by 3 plague reapers, and I believe there was some kind of weird jank in another quest that caused me to die. But other than that, very difficult. I mean, you can get yourself into some pinches, but fortunately, a paladin seems to have enough tools to mitigate those problems. So I'm just going to go real fast through some of these things. I don't want to make this another, 45-minute diatribe like I'm prone to doing. So let's get the, let's see if I can get this going. There's a SWAT for you. Get my stats back up. Okay, so what does this build look like? All right. Nuts and bolts. I got 43 points in the Knight of the Chalice tree. Could I have done more? Yeah. Was I going to? Probably not. I have, I believe, 8 total racial points. So I took maximum hit points. I took +6 natural armor, additional fortitude saves, and obviously the first core. Otherwise, you can't get the other stuff. In my universal tree, I did not have this right away, but I ended in Fate Arc. Dragon Familiar, obviously. And then the reason I did this, Study the Arcane, 1 point here, just to get to the 5 total points. And the only reason I did that was to get to here. You've got my back. Your familiar draws ambient and offensive magic to it, protecting you from magic missiles as if you had the benefits of the shield spell. Okay? In addition, the shield spell now provides +10 physical magical resistance, and the Night Shield now provides +10 magical resistance. So if you were so inclined to put up the shield spell, which I actually wasn't smart enough to do, and I probably should have for the extra MRR and PRR, but really this is permanent magic missile shield, which is amazing. Worth the 6 points, 7 total, because I used my 1 universal point to spend it there. And the remaining points, 31 points, which probably surprises a lot of people, 31 points remaining into all right, Sacred Defender. There we go. So cores up to 5. 1 point in armor class and dexterity bonus. 3 ranks for 15 sacred bonus physical magical resistance. 3 ranks for +3 sacred bonus to all saving throws. +3 lay on hands. +5 armor class. +3 saving throws. Bonus to strength. Bonus to constitution. And this is what I was trying to get to. Most importantly, Sacred Defense now grants a +10 action boost bonus to movement speed. So this is a stacking +10 bonus. So I'm +40% striding. And then over here, the armor class bonus you gain from armor or docence is increased by 50%. That's more valuable than you might otherwise believe. So that was the way that whole build played out. And a lot of people would probably argue that both this and this were extravagant. I know that a standard build usually has, what is it? Call it this tiny knife fighter. They basically get enough points spent in the tree to get to haste boost, because haste boost is just generally superior in all ways to all other action boosts. However, I found that the action boost melee and range power, didn't really miss it that much. Honestly, there was so much DPS in this build. I would rather have the defense from magic missiles, which can ruin your day in a very short period of time, than like the benefits of the haste boost. Because truthfully, I'm not one of those people that rides my action boosts. Like I know lots of people like build entirely around having tons and tons of action boosts and constantly being on top of their action boosts to use them. I'm not one of those people. I just hold down W and left click and hope for the best. Anyway, so important note, however, Slayer of Evil, I didn't figure this out until later because it's been a minute. Because I literally don't think I've run a Paladin since they actually converted it to Knight of the Chalice from whatever it was before, Slayer of Evil and Hunter of the Dead, by way, so like a long time. So this is actually Slayer of Evil. The first core is a toggle. You will need to turn this on to get the additional light damage. I didn't know that. I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting the light damage. Then I realized I had to turn that on. So by all means, please turn that on. There's my familiar. I'm going to turn my shield on. He was blocking the screen, so I got him out of there. And he's still blocking the screen. So anyway, Holy Combatant all the way up. Just basically, these are all your damage boosts. Second core, +1 attack and damage. You gain Longsword, Battle Axe, Heavy Mace, Morningstar, and Warhammer's favorite weapons. That doesn't mean much. Obviously, you're already proficient with all those weapons. And if you take Sovereign Host as your deity, which I did, and solely because you get Unyielding Sovereignty, there's no other reason, then you're already proficient with Longsword, which is great. But getting Battle Axe, Heavy Mace, Morningstar, and Warhammer are also awesome. Just opens up your weapons, you know, versatility. +1 attack and damage. You gain Greatsword as a favorite weapon. This is important. This is basically where I lived for the rest of the game. I got to Greatsword and that was it. And then this one is +1 attack and damage with all weapons, +1 to attack and damage with favored weapons. It gives you the Knight's training feat. That's huge. So if you're not using great swords for whatever reason, and I might try another one of these builds where I'm not, Knight's training is huge. It's not only does it save you a feat, but like it dramatically improves the DPS of long swords, battle axes, warhammers, you name it. It's fantastic. So this is kind of clutch, which is one of the reasons why even the Vanguard builds will have a lot of points, like 20+ points, just to get to here and get that. Because otherwise you've got some significant problems, because once you start stacking this up with help me out here, Holy Sword, then it becomes significant. Ascendancy, +2 attack and damage with all weapons, an additional +2 in attack and damage against favored weapons. You gain a +15% fortification bypass. Whenever you attack an undead or evil outsider with a favorite weapon, you gain a stack of Blessed Purpose, +3 sacred bonus to melee and range power that lasts for 6 seconds. This can stack up to 15 times. When you get to, I believe it's over here, if you have Ascendancy, your Blessed Purpose now stacks up to 25 times. So that's 25 times 3, which is 75 additional melee power if you keep just slogging away. This seems kind of dumb until you like suddenly get into a boss fight, or if you're in quest with a lot of evil outsiders and undead. This suddenly stacks up very, very quickly, and all of a sudden you're just steamrolling stuff, and it's just amazing. Censor Outsiders, this is fantastic. Your Censor Demon's ability now applies to all chaotic or evil outsiders, so they can be stunned. They have a random chance to be stunned on a Vorpal. Guess it's on a Vorpal. This procs a lot more than you might think. And because Reapers are an evil outsider, that's fantastic. You stun a lot of Reapers. Fun to watch them just stand there doing nothing with stars circling around their head. Avenging Cleave. These are important. They're not tied together, so you can take one or the other or both. Obviously, I took both. Exalted Cleave and then Avenging Cleave. One thing that is good to note, this is a 3 times weapon damage, and this is 5 times. So they're actually good to have in your rotation, even if you're not really intending to cleave things, because it's still a huge multiplier for your swings. And then lastly, Holy Retribution executes powerful Holy Cleave against targets with 5 W damage. So again, it's good to use even if you're not trying to like hit multiple targets. 100 extra Holy damage. It scales with 200% melee or range power, and -6 ability scores for all seconds. I'm not sure what that means. If it's like -6 to all my ability scores or their ability scores, it's not worded very well. On damage, evil creatures may be forced. Hold on, let's just do some science here. Where's that? Can't perform this in a public place, of course. Anyway, well, so somebody will have to science that for me or leave a comment, because I'm not sure what exactly is happening there. Anyway, evil creatures with under 1,000 hit points must always make this save or die. On damage, so again, on damage, evil creatures may be forced to make will save, DC 10 plus Paladin level plus Charisma plus Thunder bonuses or be destroyed. Evil creatures with between 5,000 and I guess that's supposed to be 10,000 hit points have 50% chance to be make this save or die, or no, 5,000, 1,000 or 5,000 it should be. That's odd. Again, the wording in this tooltip is very poor. And evil creatures with more than 5,000 hit points have a 33% chance to be forced to make this save or die. The utility of this drops off rapidly in epic since almost everything's got more than 1,000 hit points, and they're not going to die right away. And if they do, they've got huge saves. But other than that, so what else do we have? Exalted Smite, an improved smite that adds +2 to your weapon's critical threat range and damage multiplier. You always want this. Confirm critical hits and damage, so that's critical mastery. Obviously, Divine Might, you always have to take Divine Might. It's just necessary. Improved second strikes, 20% strike through chance. I did finish up with, I believe, let's have a look here. 205% was my strike through. So I'm hitting 3 targets on every swing. So not too bad. So that was basically how I did. Obviously, all the cores. These are basically adding the imbues. I don't know that we really need to go through all of these in particular. One of them, Slayer of Evil +2. One of these is giving me Ghost Touch, and I think the next one is giving me immunity to Energy Drain. Yeah, this one. Core 12 is giving me immunity to Drain. This one alone, these two together are huge. The immunity to Energy Drain is fantastic. A little more healing. Could I have probably shape points off somewhere else to get like this healing? Yeah, probably, but meh. Whatever, you can do it if you want. You just have to shave some points off, maybe, I don't know, your armor class or something else. But I at this point, I did wind up, I think my total healing amp at this point, and I don't even have it maxed out right now. What is it? 187. When I get everything kind of rolling and set up, it's like 200 and something. So it was very good. So I could heal through all kinds of problems, even in Reaper mode in combat, which is great. Feat breakdown was pretty straightforward. Epics were Deific Warding, Double Strike, Embodiment of Law, which I took dead last, Perfect Two-Handed Fighting. Epic Feats, Epic Damage Reduction, Epic Reflexes, which I took dead last, and of course the first one was Overwhelming Critical. Scion of Arborea, which I always take on any melee. And then let's see, my Epic Pass Lines are pretty straightforward. Royal Pass Lives, Iconic Pass Lives, all pretty much the same ones. Like my active iconics were Aasimar Scourge Pass Life was active, my Double Strike Marshal was active, Brace from I guess it's the Divines is active, Energy Criticals because I don't have anything else of value, and Ancient Power from the Primal, what I had active at all times. Where's Past Lives? They're not doing much except giving me action points. Combat Cells, greater two-handed fighting, improved two-handed fighting, and two-handed fighting. And let's see, defensive feats doesn't matter. Ward feats don't matter. Martial feats, improved critical slashing. Power attack, you always want to take power attack on any two-handed fighting build. It's a massive increase to your DPS. And my meta magic feats were, this is the only one I took in heroics was in power, and then at I think level 24 I took quicken. Doesn't affect anything except like my renewal. So that was pretty much it. Again, very, very, very simple build. Epics. 14 minutes. Okay. So, Divine Crusader, this might surprise a lot of people, but Divine Crusader was a very good time. Unyielding Sentinel, and then a whole bunch of points in Fury of the Wild, because it's really hard to not take Fury of the Wild on any melee build, especially if you're two-handed fighting. So just a quick breakdown, all the cores in Divine Crusader. Additional smites. So this is, I forget what this is doing, but it's giving me positive energy or something when I do smites. +6 additional smites, Holy Mantle, +3 attack and damage. Maximum hit points is +75 fortification, consecration. Skipped this because I picked up in other trees. Crusade now grants crusade to all enemies who stand inside of it and burns enemies with which step inside. Savant's Blessing, you now use Maul as your favorite weapon. Sounds dumb, but when I was running through Wizard King, the Epic Fury of the Flame was a hard carry, and also a very good weapon. Unfortunately, you can't get Maul as a favored weapon unless you take a Forgotten Realms character, which really sucks. I wish there was a way around that you could use it or get it as a favored weapon some other way other than having to wait all the way to epics to do it. It just seems to really ruin your build options. But anyway, it's just my personal opinion. But it seems kind of dumb. Probably if you could probably skip this and not miss it and spend the points someplace else. But I wanted to use them all, so I did. Because I had it. Apparently I lost my Drow Maul. I'm not sure what I did with that. The Divine Focus, Divine Crusader Destiny Mantle now grants favored weapons their +3 to their enhancement bonus. Favored weapons are now also considered implements in your hand automatically and gain +1 weapon damage. So that's a huge thing. This is one of my personal favorites, Heavenly Presence. While in my Divine Crusader Destiny Mantle, it now grants the defensive traits of a Celestial +10 physical resistance rating and +10% acid, cold, and electricity absorption, and you are immune to petrification. This is very handy for when you have to fight the Medusa at the end of Lost in the Swamp, or when you have to fight Jack Gibbers, who loves to spam Flesh to Stone. You could also take this. I toyed with this idea, but +1 critical damage. This is basically more critical damage or whatever. Nice, but you can live without it. I obviously didn't, and I didn't miss it. Plus it strikes, +6% double strike, which is great. I always consider double strike to be of more value than flat bonuses. And Cower Before Me. This is actually pretty good. The problem is it doesn't last very long. So you activate Consecration, nearby enemies will make a Fortitude saving throw or become cowered for 4 seconds. This works on basically anything that's alive, plus undead and evil outsiders and aberrations, excuse me. So that works on basically everything. That being said, it won't work on mindless stuff like bugs and nooses, I don't think. But anyway, this is actually kind of handy because you set it off and it'll stun a bunch of stuff. This really helped in some areas, like when I did Epic Delaras. Sometimes the gas and ghouls can get out of control, and you just stun them all. You can wipe out a few of them, and it dramatically reduces the chances of being paralyzed. Back in Divinity, I literally never used this. I have it, never used it. But I'm assuming it's a good time, because again, I took 30 and then went to 32, and then so these are what I took. At the end, while using a favored weapon, +1 critical multiplier, 19 or 20, so that's double expanded threat range, like overwhelming critical. And Law of the Divine. This is the only reason that I took Embodiment of Law as one of my last feats. You gain the Embodiment of Law feat if you don't already have it. If you have the feat, you now deal an additional D6 Law damage on each attack per epic or legendary level, scaling with 200% melee range power. So that's an additional 12d6 Law damage scaling as I read this. So that's why I took that. So if we slide over here to Unyielding Sentinel, first 2 cores, the remaining ones are like immune to most forms of knockdowns, wearing a shield. I'm never wearing a shield, so that's moot. I love Divine Energy Resistance, so I always take it. 2 in here to get me some additional fortification. And of course, the one thing I was really after was Renewal. This is my kind of maintenance healing. It's super cheap. You empower it and quicken it, and you're done. And over here in what do you call it? I'm surprised that I managed to get all these cores. And Fury of the Wild, all the cores gives me huge bunch of unconscious strength there. I know it's squeeze it out eventually. All 3 in Adrenaline, 1 point of physical resistance rating because I needed something. Gird Against Demons, weapons you wield bypass cold damage reduction. That's actually more useful than you might think. Because I needed to pick something. Most of these other things were not going to do anything for me, but this one actually is helpful because you run into a lot of demons later game, and some of them don't have good damage reduction. They actually have cold iron damage reduction, which you may or may not have on your weapon. So that's cool. Primal Scream is always awesome. +3 strength when raging. Adrenaline boost does damage by 75%. I'm never raging because I'm always in a defensive stance, which prevents rage, but there you go. I think one of these, when I do this, you count as raged until you're next to whatever. But Embrace the Pain when you drop below 40%. This, again, I had this, but I never came up because I think I didn't have this when I finally hit level cap. +15% strike through chance. And then lastly, I took Voice of Fury, doubles the damage that when it's your Primal Scream. So again, it's a 2-handed fighting thing. This was, and I showed you earlier, this strike 3 chance. So that was basically it. And this played out remarkably well. Again, as I said, I never really had difficulties. Gear loadouts were basically standard fare. It is a heavy armor build, so just be aware of that. So you use the best two-handed weapon you can, which for me at this point was a Barovian weapon. Obviously, just walk out there and ask for one, and you get it for free. The other I had that carried me from 20 to 29 was my Epic Sword of Shadows. If you don't have one of these, I strongly recommend you get one. And then I just had, you know, the usual culprits. A Serenian sword pops out. I did make this ages ago. This is actually a green steel maul. The only reason I have this is because it's got a raised dead clicky on it. And then I had my Epic Maul of Fury, which is a lot of fun. This is actually a very good weapon. I use this on my Malvanis builds. Very good time. But again, not really all that dramatic. I did love my Necklace of Bottled Sunlight. I used this right up to level cap. It's just a good hope clicky used for everything. I considered it my shield against the Crushing Despair that's constantly spammed by apparently every mob in the game after about level 6. A gear loadout, heavy armor build. So basically the Feywild, all the Feywild stuff, plus, you know, whatever the heavy armor set is. I used the Knight of the Shadows set from Barovia at level 10, and then I used the part of the family set at level 15 with the Enforcer's plate out of Sharn. And when I got to level 20, I swapped over and it looks like this. Epic Folk, Lizard Folk Tooth Necklace with a Sapphire Defense. Epic Bloodstone. This was kind of redundant in this build, but it did have my Master's Gift in it, so there it is. Epic Sailton's Close. Again, kind of redundant with this, but it did have my Sapphire of Healing amplification in it, so that's why I have this. Currently, I'm using the Epic Belt of Thoughtful Remembrance. I put this on at level 27. Before that, I was using the Bronze Dragon Scale Belt. And if you have the Epic Bronze Dragon Scale Belt, use that instead. Epic Salt Pearl Ring. This was my Charisma item. Insightful Charisma, Sapphire Defense, and a Diamond of Charisma +9. Still using the Hammer Fist, ironically, because it has the Insightful Double Strike, Cannith Combat Infusion, and Insightful Deadly on it. Have a Sapphire Good Luck +1. Okay. Epic Crocodile Skin Boots. I love these things. Constitution, Acid Absorption, Cold Absorption 27%, Freedom of Movement, Acidic Reaping. I've got it slotted with a Sapphire of Crushing Wave and a Diamond of Strength. Epic Ethereal Ring. I love this item too. Ghostly, Speed 30%, Dodge 9, Reflex 9, Topaz Wizardry. Epic Driftwood Bracers. This is where I'm getting my heals from. Insightful Wisdom 4, Healing Lore 16, Devotion 111, Wizardry 195, which is redundant, and Sapphire of False Life. Epic Salt Iron Plate. So this is Fortification 111, Sheltering 24, Protection 8, Shield Bonus 9, Sapphire Resistance 8 slotted in it. And just to kind of have this, because it's got True Seeing and Blindness immunity on it, although having Search and Spot is handy. Epic Amethyst Loop, Search 17, Spot 17, doesn't really matter much, but again, it's for True Seeing and Blindness immunity. And here's a throwback. This is the Epic Helm of the Marorinon. That's Wisdom 9, Intimidate 17, Insight 91%, Command +5, Immunity to Fear. Immunity to Fear is redundant. A Paladin is always immune to fear after, I believe, level 2 or 3. So it doesn't really matter, but this was my Wisdom item, plus its Command, Insight, and Intimidate. So that worked out pretty well. Quiver of Alacrity, put it on at level 1, forget it forever. This is a cosmetic Commander Vishral's Dragon Scale Medium Armor. I just like the look of it, so I made a cosmetic out of it. I thought it matched the theme. And then, of course, I'm always wearing my, cosmetic Elemental Victory and my Hardcore 8, which matches pretty well with the armor, but it is off in color exactly enough to make me grind my teeth. So anyway, that's basically it. There is not a whole lot of subtlety. This plays almost identically to a Barbarian, only slightly more reserved. Quickly review his spells: Protection from Evil, Bless, Divine Favor, always on, Pure Light Wounds because there was nothing else. I went out of my way to assure that I didn't take any spells that required spell components. I think I have a couple, like level 1 and 2s, but most of the time it's not. Resist Energy, that's handy until you get up up to divine energy resistance out of the epics, in which case you forget about it forever. Raise dead because, okay. Righteous command, you want this on all the time. Later on, I don't take this right away, but I do later angel skin, which is fantastic. +1 racial bonus to physical and magical resistance rating per caster level, max 20. So you want this as soon as you can. You want to be casting that and keeping that up all the time. Remove curse, because whatever. Cure moderate wounds is probably going to be your bread and butter heal for a minute. Remove blindness, and just in case you forgot your pots. Prayer, never used it. Cure serious wounds, that's going to be another one of your big heals. Death word, because you always want it and your hireling might not have it. Zeal, as soon as you get this, is always going to be up at your first 4th level spell. Always should be Holy Sword, which is adding +1 competence bonus to critical threat range and damage multiplier. This does not apply to shields, orbs, or rune arms, which doesn't matter because you're not using any of those. And that's basically how the spells worked out. Again, this is very straightforward stuff. There are no surprises here. And again, you charge in with the biggest sword you can, you hit stuff hard until it dies, and then you run to the next room. Very straightforward, very survivable. You can just, your saves are preposterously good. Like currently my saves are 92 fortitude, +77 reflex, and +75 will. That could probably be better even than that. I just have not gone through a lot of effort to bolster them, but those are excellent. Always make sure that you're doing divine might. This is a strength build. I should probably have said that earlier. So I started with 18 base strength. All level ups went into strength, and I believe I started with base 16 charisma. And you're like, well, why did you go with the full charisma build? Because something paladin charisma. That's true. A lot of the paladin abilities do leverage charisma, but they don't use it. Like again, the divine smites, people are like, oh, the smites, but like the smites give you a bonus to hit, but the damage bonus is actually coming out of your paladin level, so it doesn't really matter. Plus it's just way easier to gear out a strength build. It just is. Also, strength prevents you from getting knocked down all the time, and I've run pure charisma builds before, and I just don't enjoy spending the entirety of the game on my back. So I just take the strength build because I don't like getting knocked down. It's easier to gear. It's easier to use. Most of your combat skills are scaling off of, especially Sunder DCs are scaling off of your charisma, or scaling off your strength, not charisma. So you're going to want to go ahead and just go with the strength build. It's just easier that way. And then you have charisma so that you can like crush like your intimidate checks and your UMD and your divine might. So it's the divine, the charisma is sort of like the end around functionality that a barb gets from rage. It's adding to your strength. So that's basically my take on that. You might disagree. Feel free to leave a comment if you don't. Do or don't. But yeah, that's it. So this is going to be it. I am going to clean out my cache this weekend and then TR to something that's not this, although I had so much fun doing this, I was strongly tempted to just go ahead and do it again. That's my pseudo dragon familiar over there, in case you haven't seen him. But that's it for now. Managed to shave a little bit of time off of this, but I'm gonna leave it there. So thank you all for watching. If you have watched from the end, I am on Twitch every Monday to Friday at 0930 hours. That is 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So feel free to join me there. And if I do not, then I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day wherever you are, and I will talk to everyone again soon.